Fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here today for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you are working on and work alongside while I chat, or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today, I am going to be working on my Kindred Spirits kit. This is the kit that you guys picked in the poll for me to do next. So this is the one that I've been working on. And I gotta say, I'm enjoying it so far. So it's a newer kit, so it's a little bit of a different experience for me. But like I said, I'm enjoying it so far. Let me zoom in to where I'm gonna be working, and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, I've got my timer started. I've got some drills ready to go. I've got my notes ready. I'm going to start here with some ABs. As you may or may not know, I've been adding some ABs into this, so I try to start with those. The ABs always seem to be a little bit bigger. Drills just take up a little bit more room than regular ones, so I try to start with the ABs when I start in a section. So let me start off with my life update, what's going on in my regular life. A few new things going on. We did get the new license plate for our car. I still don't understand why one car needed it and the other one didn't, but who am I to second guess the DMV, right? So we finally got that done. Now we just have to wait and see. My car doesn't renew for another couple of months, so I guess I'll find out then if that car has to get a new license plate. Still debating on whether or not we want to sell that car. We kind of had decided that we were going to, but cars are so expensive. It's going to take like 3 times the amount that we'd get for that one to replace it. So is it worth it? I don't know. I know it wouldn't be a great car to drive in Canada, but it would be a car to drive. So this week was a bit of a weird week too, and I finally realized that hubby being home all the time because he's not working has thrown all of my routines off. Not because of hubby. I mean, he's home, so that throws it off. It's not that he's doing anything, it's just that he's home, which is not usual, and so that's kind of thrown everything into chaos. We also didn't walk this week. And while I wouldn't change that decision because it has been so insanely hot this week, it's just thrown everything off. I am very much a routine person. And so anything that kind of throws me off that routine just kind of have ripple effects. So for instance, this week, because we weren't walking, I found myself, because normally what would happen, we'd get up and walk, come home, I'd shower, get dressed, go about the rest of my day. And because we haven't been doing that, it was get up, and I'd find myself sitting around in my pajamas watching TV until noon, and then kicking myself because I've gotten nothing done and I feel like I haven't been productive. So I just need the routines. I'm also putting more stress on myself to be productive because my income from YouTube is really the only income that we have right now. We have savings that we can use, so it's not like what I make on YouTube would pay all of my bills anyway, but I'm just trying to be less stressed with myself, which is admittedly hard. Finances are a big thing for me. I get very antsy when things financially feel unstable. So yeah, I've just been putting a lot of pressure on myself. Just trying to find, like I said, trying to find my zen. We're working towards our move to Canada, and we can't make things go any faster than they are going. So I just have to be patient, which admittedly is something that I'm not very good at, as my husband will tell you. So we're still waiting to see if my brother sold my dad's car. He had a guy that was interested, but my brother didn't have the title, couldn't find it. Eventually had to go to the DMV. I guess usually to get a replacement title, it's something that you can just do online, and you can get it, like at least get an electronic title pretty instantly. Something to do with the age of the car, that he wasn't able to do it online. He actually had to go in person down to the DMV, because that's always such a pleasant experience for everyone. And I don't quite understand what the age of the vehicle has to do with anything. I mean, a title is a title is a title, right? But again, who am I to say how the DMV works? So he went down, got everything applied for. I think he said they tell you 10 to 14 working days for him to get it in the mail. So hopefully once he gets it in the mail, the guy is still interested, and then they can do the deal and he can sell the car, and then we can take the car and all of its various pieces and parts. I think the guy's supposed to be coming up here to pick them all up, and then our garage will be basically empty because that vehicle and all the pieces and parts take up a huge chunk of our garage, probably over half realistically, which seems kind of crazy, but there's just so many pieces. Like I said, there's body part duplicates, so 2 hoods, 2 trunks, 2 doors, in addition to the ones already on the vehicle, extra fenders, an extra windshield. It's a convertible, so an extra convertible top, just extras of pretty much everything except for the engine, an extra set of wheels, all that good stuff. Plus my dad kept all the manuals and things that he had collected over the years for it because they're hard to find. So there's like 2 big plastic totes full of manuals and documentation and purchase things where my dad had purchased all of the extra pieces and parts. It's kind of crazy, but it will feel good to get all of that out of the garage, because then that would mean we can use that space to sort all the things that are still in the garage and see what we need to get rid of. Hubby's already put a couple of things up for sale. We've got extra like weed whackers and battery packs for the weed whackers, and he's got like a pole saw that we don't need and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully, like I said, once the car is gone, we'll be able to kind of sort out everything and won't have to worry about all those pieces and parts. We also thought we were all done with the painting and prepping and all of that good stuff, and we went. My daughter's old room was the first room that we painted, and we were in there the other day because we have been putting all of our packed totes and everything in that room, and we were in there. I noticed in the corner that one of the corners we painted, and it's just one, it's almost like it's somehow got condensation or something. So I don't know if like the putty wasn't completely dry when we painted it and it's taken this long for that moisture to kind of work its way out. That's what I think happened anyway. So now we've got to scrape and re-putty and repaint that corner. And then, fingers crossed, after that, that will be the end of us painting and puttying and fixing things up. Super annoying to walk down there and be like, what is this and why is it doing that? And now we have to fix it. And it's actually been like a week that we've needed to get it done. Hubby just has been kind of putting stuff off. He is glued to the TV watching the Olympics, and I don't know why. He's never really been a big sports person. He watches racing, he watches football, but other than that, he doesn't really watch sports. But man, he's watched almost every single day. He's watching something with the Olympics, which I find kind of funny because I've never been a big sports person. I mean, I was never into sports myself really as a kid. I didn't compete on any teams or anything like that. I watched a lot of sports when my youngest was competing. He did 3 sports a year all through high school. He played a lot in middle school too. He played basketball, he played football. When he got to high school, he started track and field and he was doing powerlifting. I went to plenty of sports games, which was fine with me. That was enough. I didn't need to see any more. But because hubby's been watching it, I mean, I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I've actually watched the Olympics previously. I have certain events that we would watch. Like my mom always watched gymnastics for the Summer Olympics, and we always watched figure skating for the Winter Olympics. But other than that, my family was not big sports watchers, especially the Olympics. So it's been kind of interesting because we've been watching a lot of events. Of course, he's been watching gymnastics and swimming, and then some random ones here and there. I'm not a big fan of soccer, so we haven't really watched soccer. We watched some of the 3-on-3 basketball. I watched some of the women's foil fencing, the team foil fencing. That was interesting. Not at all what I thought it would be. And we watched some judo, which I've never seen before. Hubby was watching some racing earlier this weekend, but like racing as in bicycle racing. It's been interesting kind of watching all of that. My youngest was excited this weekend because this weekend was all the track and field events, and he competed in track and field in high school, so he's really invested in watching some of the people compete. Hubby's also been watching all of the CFL games that have been on lately, so he's been watching a lot of that. It's kind of funny to watch the CFL games because I'm not really invested in any of the teams. I don't live any of those places. I mean, I'm not really invested in any of NFL teams either, but at the beginning of the games, hubby and I will talk, and I'll say, well, which team are you rooting for? Well, I'm going to root for this team. Okay, well, then I'll root for this other one just to be on opposing sides. So he was watching I was trying to remember who was playing. I think it was Winnipeg and Hamilton playing. He was actually rooting for Hamilton. It's kind of interesting to watch the CFL though, because the rules are so different from the NFL. I guess it'll be even more interesting now. Hubby and the youngest are both excited because the NFL preseason is getting ready to start. So now they're all excited about watching all of those games. I don't mind watching it, but it's just diamond painting time for me. They'll turn it on and sit on the couch and watch the game and cheer and holler while I diamond paint and watch them cheer and holler. My youngest is taking bets on how Kansas City is going to do this year because they won the Super Bowl last year. I'm like, I've lived here a lot of my life. A winning Kansas City is not the majority of my experience. So I guess we'll find out what happens when all the games start. Okay, so moving on to my diamond painting update. Speaking of diamond painting, I'm actually really loving the fairy dust drills that I'm adding in here. I think they look really cool. So I hope they turn out as well as I think they're going to. I think they will. All right, so that was the end of my regular everyday life. What's going on in my diamond painting life? So I finished the Oraloa kit that I was working on. You guys will see that at some point. I will do the post-completion review of that one. I'm actually pretty happy with that one. And I'm glad I decided to do it, even though it was a square and I wasn't sure if I would be happy with it being a square, but it's done and it was all good. So now I'm working on Kindred Spirits, which I think would qualify for the ABs in August event. So I'm going to claim participation in that event because I am adding, I think there's 3 ABs plus a fairy dust that came with it, and I'm adding in like 6 or 7 AB/fairy dust drills, so I'm going to claim that counts. I'm not officially participating. I didn't take a start picture or anything like that, but it's just nice to be diamond painting along with other people while they're doing an event. Just that camaraderie. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that for August, and then we'll see what happens next month. So my last goals update, I talked to you guys about what I wanted to do kind of going forward, because now that I've finished all of my 5 oldest kits, do I want to set another goal? Do I want to try and do my next 5 oldest kits? All that kind of stuff. Lots of ideas and comments from you guys. I think I've decided how I'm going to go forward for now anyway. I may change my mind later, but I'm not going to use a decision wheel as someone suggested. It's not that it's a bad suggestion, but for me, it's one of those, like when you ask someone to pick an outfit, oh, should I wear this one or this one? Whenever I do that, what that just does for me is reinforces, oh, they picked this one, but I really want to do that one. So it seems kind of pointless to do that, because what happens for me is I just end up spinning until I land on one that I want to do anyway. So what's the point in spinning the wheel? Working on the 5 oldest also, it felt great to get those 5 done. It absolutely did. But the bad drills in a couple of those kits. Well, I can't even say a couple. The 2 Spanglers and Belly Dancer, which were basically the 3 squares of the 5, were not fun. The drills were trashy and gappy. Belly Dancer, I think, was the worst of the 3, but all of them were not great. And the thought of subjecting myself to another 5 in a row like that, where the drills are gappy and just driving me nuts, is not appealing. And several of them are Spanglers again. I guess when I was buying those, I was very into Spanglers. Because of the 5, I think at least 2 are Spanglers. I know the first, so my 2 oldest currently are Spanglers. They're both square. And I think of the 5, 4 of the 5 are squares. 1 is a round, maybe 2, but 1 for sure is a round. But anyway, the thought of doing, I've already done 2 Spanglers this year, and I have another one on my Want series. I just wasn't sure I was up to doing 5 Spanglers in a year. That seems kind of crazy. So someone suggested that I just pull the Spanglers out, basically, of the rotation and work them in when I felt like working on a Spangler, and then just go down the row for all the rest of them. So I think that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to work on older kits, but I think I'm going to skip over, for now at least, the 2 Spanglers because they're Spanglers and because they're squares. I'm not going to get rid of either of those kits. They are both kits that I want to do, but just not right now. Also, I keep harping on the squares. It's not that I mind squares. I think, like I said, squares just take it out of me mentally more than rounds do. Just because I feel like I spend more time fussing with them to get them straight and everything, whereas it's not as big of a deal with rounds, at least for me. So I went back and looked through my logbook because I felt like all I'd been doing is squares, and I went back through my logbook and looked at what did I actually complete so far this year. And surprise, surprise, I've worked pretty evenly on squares and rounds. 3 of them were kind of small because I did the 2 that I did for a DP for Pets, the Basset Hound and the Unicorn were both round. So they were pretty small. And the J-Wall was a round, and it was huge. So it's not that I've done more squares than rounds, it just feels that way. But the other thing is, if I just pick out squares and rounds and alternate, then I'm never going to get the squares finished because I have more squares than rounds. So I just need to bite the bullet and get them done. And as completing the 5 oldest showed me, even if it's not a fantastic experience, if there's some gappy and trashy drills, it's still, I got a lot of satisfaction from completing those 5 kits. So like I said, I'm going to use advice from a couple different people. I'm going to pull the Spanglers aside and just work them in as I feel able to work on them. And then I'm going to alternate. I'm going to pick an older kit to do, and then I will pick a newer kit to do and just do it that way. I considered working chronologically and just completing everything from my 2021 purchases, which those are the oldest kits that I have in my stash. But realistically, I'm not going to get all of them done, not the least of which is because 2 of them are Heaven and Earth designs that I have to use my spares for. One of them I already have kitted up and I could do that one, but it's very large and I just don't want to start a huge project right now. And also there's way more of them than I thought, so I'd have to do quite a few of them to get through 2021. I mean, I think if I just did 2021 kits, I would still be working on them at the end of the year because I have so many of them. And I do have my whole Want series that I want to get to. So that's kind of where I'm at for this year. I think alternating will help me mentally just because while I want to do the older kits, it's not that. I just know that mentally doing a whole bunch of kits in a row that have kind of gappy, trashy drills is not going to make me happy. So kind of alternating them will let me kind of prepare myself. I'll get the experience of doing a newer kit like this one where the drills are a little bit better, and then I will be better prepared to mentally, okay, now I'm going to work on one where they might be trashy, they might be gappy, and they might not be. I have no idea, because you never know until you start working what the drills are going to be like. But based on my experience so far, the older kits are just going to have more trash, more gappy drills, and it's just going to be a less enjoyable experience. Not that it won't be enjoyable at all, it will just be less enjoyable than what I might get working on a newer kit. So that's kind of my plan going forward. So thanks to everybody for the feedback about how to approach things. I also got a lot of feedback on my latest Stay or Go video that was yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Hit that subscribe button while you're at it so that you don't miss anything, and click the bell so that you know when I have other videos coming out. But that video, I knew I would get a lot of comments on that video simply because it's a Josephine wall. So I knew people would have opinions on it. So that part didn't surprise me. Lots of people saying to keep it because it's a kit that is no longer available. Diamond Art Club doesn't have a license with Josephine Wall anymore. But a lot of my reservations the same about older kits. It's an older kit, so it may have trashy and or gappy drills. It's a very large kit. It's like a 100 by 76 or something like that. But really, overwhelmingly, most of you telling me to keep it. And honestly, that's what I expected. And like I said, I am going to hang on to it at least for the move to Canada. There is a part of me that wants to do it just so I can see the difference between doing a diamond painting Deutschland, having done 2 of them now, and doing a Diamond Art Club Josephine wall. I've said many times that I think the Diamond Painting Deutschland ones are closer to her original artwork, which for me is what I wanted. I mean, that's why you buy the diamond painting, right? Because you like the image. So for me, I want the diamond painted image to be as close to the original as possible. When I've done 2 Josephine walls, one with 250 colors and one with 275 colors, dropping down to a Diamond Art Club with only 60 some colors, I just think that automatically means that it's not going to be as true to the original artwork as the Diamond Painting Deutschlands would be. Different reasons to like both of those, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with one or the other, but it would be interesting to kind of experience the difference in completing a Josephine wall from Diamond Painting Deutschland versus one from Diamond Art Club. And lots of people commenting that if I wanted to destash it, I'm sure I could do it. And I'm sure I could too, because it's a kit that you can't get anymore, and because it's a Josephine wall, I'm sure there's a ton of people that would love to have it and do it. But I'm going to hang on to it for now. Like I said, I think everything currently in my stash is going to go with us to Canada, although who knows how long it will take us to sell the house or how many things I will get done out of my stash between now and then. So it will go with us to Canada, and it will certainly not be a kit that I complete this year if I complete it, but maybe next year. I think I'm J-walled out for this year. So I'm considering doing something a bit different for next year. Usually at the beginning of the year, along with my goals, I make a list of kits that I kind of want to complete that year, like my want series list. But I don't really plan out what I'm doing as far as kits more than that. Like, I know there's a lot of people who sit down, okay, in January, I'm going to do XYZ kits. In February, I'm going to do ABC kits. I've not really done that before because I feel like I like to give myself some leeway. Maybe that isn't a kit that I want to do when I get to it. Maybe when I get to May, I'm not ready to do this X kit. I want to do something else. Just that I have this list of these are the things I would like to complete at some point this year. However, one of the things I always forget about is events. And I don't need to actually participate in events like trying to win the prizes and all of that. I'm perfectly happy to let other people win all the prizes, but there's something to be said about, like I said, the camaraderie of just everybody kind of working on a theme for the month, everybody kind of having a reason to post pics and things like that. which I often forget to take and or post. I'm trying to get better about that. Trying to remember to post in my Facebook group and in all of those things to give people kind of a push to post themselves if people haven't been posting anything. If you're not in the Facebook group, please join us. Would love to have you. I love to see all of the pics that people are, of things that people are working on. I always forget about events. So I think next year I'm going to try and do a bit more planning around events and trying to figure out what events are going on. Of course, I have my own 2 events that I do, DP for Pets in June and DP for Veterans will be coming up in November. I still plan to continue doing both of those, but I often forget to look at what other people are doing. Like this one I could do for ABs in August, like I said, which is something I probably wouldn't have thought of before. So I think next year I'm going to try and do a bit more of my planning around events and trying to find kits that would fit an event. Plus, I think that doing it that way will allow me to maybe do some kits that I wouldn't have otherwise completed, especially maybe some of the older kits that I've got in my stash that maybe just to work on them for myself, I'd be like, meh, but if there's an event going on and there's a reason for me to pick that particular kit, then that makes that decision a little bit easier. So going forward, I'm hoping that I can have a little bit more of an incentive to do some of these kits by planning around some events. For those of you that have never done an event before, I really look in kind of 2 places that are my go-to. Kay runs a group called Diamond Painting Events on Facebook. Just search for that and it will come up. And she does an awesome job of kind of keeping track of all of the different diamond painting events that are going on all year, because there's a ton of them, let me tell you. And it seems like there's a new one every time I turn around. So I go there and she separates hers by month, so it's really easy to kind of look around and see what's going on. And then on Instagram, there's an account called Mr. and Mrs. Dubé Diamond Paints. And she keeps a spreadsheet, like a Google sheet that you can have access to. You can look at it. You can't change anything on it, but you can look at it. And she keeps like a Google spreadsheet of all of the events that she knows that are going on. Most of it is all similar, but sometimes you'll find an event one place that isn't in the other and vice versa. So I just kind of keep both of them in mind when I'm trying to plan events. And a lot of events are like mine. I do them every year, so you can look at them and go, okay, this one is going to be around the same time next year. Drills and Chills has been going on forever. They've been doing Summer with the Masters for several years now. There's just a ton of events and there's always something going on. So yeah, just going to try and plan around some events, and maybe that will get me, like I said, to do some kits that have kind of been hanging around in my stash forever that maybe I wouldn't have done without that as an incentive. So since I'm going to try and alternate, I feel like this is a newer kit, so my next one should be an older kit, but I need to figure out which one I want to work on next. I've got an idea. I think I know which one I'm going to do next, but I could change my mind too. I might look and see what events are going on next month and see if there's an event that I want to do, and maybe that will change my mind. But I think I know which one I'm going to do next. I'm hesitating a bit to do it because it's kind of a big one, and I've been working on older kits, but it's a round, so I think even though it's a big one, it would be a nice break from the squares that I've done. Because I did, let's see, I did Jasper C, which was a round, and then I did Belly Dancer, which was a square. I did the Orloa, which was a square, and I'm doing this one, which is a square. So that's 3 squares in a row. Do I want to make it 4, or do I just want to jump to kind of a bigger kit, but it's round, so it would hopefully go faster? I don't know. There's also a part of me that is like, well, maybe I could just do a couple more squares before I switch off to a round, because I have so many squares left in my stash that if I keep avoiding them, that's pretty soon going to be all that's left in my stash. Because for a lot of kits, for whatever reason, especially the larger ones, they only seem to come in squares. And I don't mind squares, like I said, it takes more brain power for me for some reason. I think that's about it for me. This is kind of a short whip and chat this week, but you guys, I just have so much going on. I feel like I don't have enough time to diamond paint. Maybe once football season starts, it'll be better. hubby and the youngest will be parked in front of the TV and I can just sit there and diamond paint without feeling like we should be doing something else. I don't know. That probably isn't true, but that's what I'm going to tell myself. Okay. So I think that's everything from me that I wanted to share with you guys. Not a ton of stuff going on, but boring is good sometimes, right? It's nice not to have a whole bunch of things going on. I've got enough stress in my life. I don't think I need to add to it. So zooming out, you can see, like I said, I'm really loving the ABs look good. The fairy dust drills that I'm adding in look good. So I'm happy with how this is turning out so far. Although I think this is like possibly the newest Diamond Art Club that I've done in a while. The drills just feel a bit different. I think it's because these are the newer drills. I've done some of their newer ones, like the Jetsons was newer, so I'm not quite sure why this one feels different, but it just does. So let's get to the part that everybody is here for, and that is the drawing for my 10K giveaway. Again, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody for liking and subscribing and sharing and commenting and doing all of the things. Any and all of those is appreciated, and it really helps the channel out. So I've said before, and I'll say it again, I never in a million years would have thought that I would have ended up here with 10,000 subscribers. So I'm super grateful. Hopefully I can continue informing and entertaining you as we continue on our diamond painting journeys together. So I put everybody's name in the wheel. There were a ton of you, so let's spin and see who the winner of the 10K giveaway is. Raquel Hess. Congratulations, Raquel. So Raquel, send me an email. My email is diamondpaintinganonymous@gmail.com. Send me an email with your mailing information so that I can get your prize mailed out to you. Again, a huge thank you to everyone who participated. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. Before you leave, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.